Sunday, January 21, My frame was not hidden from you. Read Psalm 139, verses 1 to 18. How does this text poetically depict God's power? In verses 1 to 6, his presence in verses 7 to 12, and his goodness in verses 13 to 18. What does God's greatness say about God's promises? Psalm 139, beginning at verse 1. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thought afar off. You comprehend my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word on my tongue, but behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You have hedged me behind and before, and laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning, and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall fall on me, even the night shall be light about me. Indeed, the darkness shall not hide from you, but the night shines as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to you. For you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvellous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skilfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed, and in your book they all were written. The days fashioned for me, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are your thoughts to me, O God! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they would be more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with you. Did you ever want to help someone but had no means? Likewise, some people tried to help you but did not understand your needs. Unlike even the most loving and best-intentioned people, God has both the perfect knowledge of us and of our circumstances, and also the means to help us. Therefore, his promises of help and deliverance are not shallow platitudes, but firm assurances. God's knowledge of the psalmist is so great and unique that even his mother's womb could not hide him from God. As we read in verses 13, For you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb, and verse 15, My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Divine knowledge pertains to time. We read in verse 2, You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thought afar off. And inner being, in verse 2 again, You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thought afar off. You comprehend my path and my lying down. And verse 4, For there is not a word on my tongue, but behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. And space, and comprehend my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways, in verse 3. The psalmist's entire existence. God's wonderful knowledge is the result of his creatorship and close acquaintance with people, and is manifest in his care for them. This wonderful truth about God, knowing us intimately, should not scare us, but instead drive us into the arms of Jesus and what he has accomplished for us at the cross. For by faith in Jesus we have been given his righteousness, the righteousness of God himself, as you read in Romans 3, verse 5. But if our unrighteousness demonstrates the righteousness of God, what shall we say? Is God unjust who inflicts wrath? I speak as a man. And verse 21, But now the righteousness of God apart from the law is revealed, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. God's presence is highlighted by depicting God as reaching as far as hell or Sheol, the grave, and darkness, as we read in Psalm 139 verse 8, "If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there." And verses 11 and 12, "If I say, surely the darkness shall fall on me, even the night shall be light about me. Indeed, the darkness shall not hide from you, but the night shines as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to you." And these are places not typically depicted as where God dwells, because we read in Psalm 56 verse 13, "For you have delivered my soul from death. Have you not kept my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the light of the living?" His presence also is depicted as taking the wings of the morning, that's east, to reach the uttermost parts of the sea, that's the west, in Psalm 139 verse 9, "If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea." What these images convey is the truth that there is no place in the universe where we cannot be out of God's reach. Though God is not part of the universe, as some believe, he is close to it all, having not only created it, but sustaining it as well, as we read in Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 3. And that reads, "Who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down at the right hand of the majesty on high." As the one who knows all about us, God can help and restore us. The fresh realization of his greatness prompts an outburst of praise and renewed trust in the psalmist. He welcomes divine scrutiny as the means that can remove from his life anything that troubles his relationship with God. And so to finish today, some might find the fact that God knows so much about them, even their darkest secrets, a rather frightening thought. Why is the gospel, then, our only hope? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.